Hello everyone and welcome back to New Comic Book Day here at Comic Vantage. So this is the day where I pick out fun books to read, I come back and I give you giant spoiler-filled reviews. So if you don't want spoilers, back out now, come back later, or use the handy-dandy timestamps down below. So today's releases are for the books that were released on December 12th, 2018. Let's get started. First book this week. And it's actually not from this week, but this is a book I wanted to review last week and totally forgot about it. And that is Freeze #1 from Image Comics. Now, I actually really enjoyed this book. Now, the first thing that we start off with is we have no idea what the hell is going on. And we have what looks to be almost like a vigilante sort of paramilitary group who is infiltrating a high school to find a girl. And here they're matching up her picture. The one thing we notice is that no one is really moving, and you don't know why. So they grab this girl, she gets out, and she has no clue what's happening. And she's asked why no one was moving, and we meet our hero here, whose name is Ray Adams. And then Ray begins to tell his story. Now, the first thing I was taken with, I thought the artwork was actually really good in this book. And then I started noticing that these panels, they are all uniform, completely all the way through the entire storyline. Here we have the classic like 9x9, and before we saw a 4-panel. I thought this was really neat. So Ray starts telling the story of how he was just working. He's a normal cog, boring life, yada yada. He's plugging in his boss's computer because apparently he works IT. And when he comes out, he noticed no one is moving. Everyone is frozen. He thinks he's going crazy. And then he takes a look outside and he sees these giant accidents and these flames, and time is still progressing, but no one is moving. They are all standing still. They are frozen, hence the name Freeze. So he finds Lisa here and he ends up touching her, and his touch brings her back. So he starts going around and finding other people and touching them and bringing them back, and they all start trying to work together, trying to figure out what is happening. Up until this point, we have no idea, and by the time we get in this book, we still have no idea. But the one thing I thought was cool is that by the time we do get to the last page of the book, they're starting to finally understand the gravity of the situation, where this could be a worldwide event, because they found this plane that has just fallen out of the sky because everyone inside was frozen. Hundreds of thousands of people possibly dead. We have no idea. Here's the issue #2 cover. I thought this was kind of neat, finding a heart in the cold food section at the grocery store. This was a very good book. I had a lot of fun reading this. It really is kind of thought-provoking. I just plain enjoyed it. I'm really glad I got to do the review now. So that is Freeze #1 from Image Comics. Next on our list from DC Comics, we have Electric Warriors #2. I really enjoyed this book. I did the review a month ago for Electric Warriors #1. It was a great storyline. Apparently it does take place during normal DC continuity, just way in the future. Animals have risen up, and they now share the same space as humans. You know, they've sprouted arms and legs and have normal intelligence. And they sort of took over, and they put man in reservations, and now man rebelled, and they are fighting for equal footing, even though man is the minority. And we have our Electric Warriors. Here we have Kana, who is from the Octopus people. Yes, she is an octopus. And we have Ian Navarro, who took the place of his brother. These two were chosen to be the Electric Warriors from Earth. So what happens is that heroes are chosen from different planets throughout the galaxy, and they are sent to a planet called Covenant, where they battle one-on-one instead of having full-scale wars. Really actually kind of an interesting concept. And Ian was like, Oscar is a good person. I can't let him do this. He's just going to be a martyr, and he's going to die for nothing. Knocks his brother out, takes his place, ends up being the Electric Warrior Warcry. And here he is on his first battle. He's against the Volcanic Warrior of Saturn, and they are fighting for some grain storage from Earth, which I think is kind of interesting, where two species will come together and they're like, hey, one's like, hey, I want your moon, and the other one's like, no, you can't have it. So they send warriors and they battle each other. Really rather interesting storyline. And this was cool. As a parting gift, he was given from the people of Earth, the actual humans, the Shroud of Kal-El. Yes, this kid is wearing Superman's cape, which is supposed to be virtually indestructible. I thought that was a really neat idea. But he loses his fight to the alien from Saturn, so the Saturn people get the grain storage from Earth. Continue on, and they end up meeting some other people. Now the octopus Kana, she wins her fight. So now they get the crown of cortex from this demon. I'm not sure why you would fight over a crown of cortex. Maybe that'll come in later. So they are then brought before this one warrior. His name is Orthus. Now apparently Orthus has been on this planet for a very long time. He's supposed to be one of the very first electric warriors, and the person has lived the longest on here. And he's like, hey, we all have to join forces. You know, we do fight one-on-one, but to survive, we have to be together. I thought that was a really cool concept, too. Before our book ends, the two warriors of Earth find out they have to fight each other because the people of Earth, the human beings, are revolting against the beasts because their grain stores are being rationed now that he lost it. So that's going to be an interesting fight on the next issue. Really good story. I'm very much enjoying this. I'm pretty sure this is only supposed to be a mini-series. I have no idea how long or how many issues it's supposed to be. Oh, there we go. Look, 6-issue mini-series. Totally worth picking up, though. It's a really good read. And then coming out of Boom Studios, and from that master horror writer Cullen Bunn, we have The Empty Man, issue number 2. Now, I'm sad because I never read the original Empty Man series. I'm hoping it's as creepy as this one, because this one is really kind of cool. So there's this huge virus going around, or it was going around, called the Empty Man, and it forced people to hallucinate horrible, disfiguring things, and it made them do awful, horrible things. Here we start going through some of them, where we have this woman who's put her hand in a blender so she can ingest it to feel complete. And then we have some teenagers who mutilated their faces so people can see their true faces. All these people, we have this one nurse who ended up smothering a dozen patients before she was caught. This guy drank 2 gallons of bleach, all with the one single motto of The Empty Man made me do it. Loved that. This is so cool. Now, split in between all of these, we have this image of this woman who is just smashing her face against the wall. This is where the last issue left off. We have our little teenager here. Her name is Vicky Carey, being approached by CDC and the FBI because they feel there is some sort of infestation going on of the Empty Man. And they are not wrong. This strange cult came to her family because they know her mom is infected with the Empty Man. This is her mom. This is the woman who was smashing her face on the wall. Just that image alone is just kind of horrific. And then you get a few panels in, and I loved this. She left a bloody face print on the wall where she was smashing her face repeatedly into it. Oh God, I love that. Like I said, this whole book is just really, really disturbing. So you find out this group that approached them is a cult called the Whisper Oracles, and they are promising some woman that they are going to get Mrs. Carey and bring her in. It's almost like they worship this Empty Man virus. It's really, really an interesting story. I am loving it. It's creepy. It's got some twists. And wow, this cover itself is just really trippy. Love this book. Huge thumbs up. And another book coming out of DC this week, we have Goddess Mode, issue number 1. I was really kind of drawn in with this bright, colorful cover. And do you see this? This is the variant cover. Now, does that not scream Gem in the Holograms? I mean, I saw that and I was like, are you kidding me? The book actually was a little on the interesting side. I liked it. So you have this young girl here. Her name is Cassandra Price, and she's visiting her dead dad, who's just kind of sitting here in a stasis pod. She works for a company called the Hermeticorp, and the Hermeticorp has developed this giant AI called Azoth. And now Azoth is supposed to be almost this godlike, self-evolving and learning AI that controls everything. I mean, it just controls everything. So She breaks into its neural networks and kind of transports her friend actually calls it astral projection. When you saw her with visiting her dad, she was doing that where she was projecting her own image there, but she can still kind of feel everything. She is brought in front of her boss, who realizes that she caused this huge security breach. And he's like, I'm not here to fire you or to punish you. I'm here to give you a promotion. Because he was so taken with what she had done and what she was able to do. Her abilities are far beneath her station that she's working at now. So she's brought before the creator of the company. His name is Tucker Brady. Although Tucker Brady is sickly, and he's sort of in a stasis pod himself, receiving treatment. And there is another disease going around called the Brady-Tucker disease. I don't know if there's a cure for it. They really didn't explain all that. Now, by this time in the book, I started getting a little bored because the book started getting very wordy and it really wasn't progressing very far. So she finds this interesting programming code and, she touches it. And she's transported into the program, actually into Azoth, where now she meets these other crazy women. And they are forming this superhero team to battle stuff in this digital world. This is where it completely lost me. It just got way too kind of fluffy. And I don't know. I mean, I was expecting this, but like I said, it felt a little too fluff for me by this point. Now, I think I will pick up issue number 2 just to see if it gets better. But it was a great premise that started out really good and then just kind of fell flat at the end. But, I am curious to see where it goes. I'll give it an issue 2 and let you know what I think. So this is sort of on the fence for me this week. And then from Image Comics, we have Infinite Dark number 3. Now, this is one of those books that really gets you thinking. So, I'm not going to lie, it is kind of a hard read, but it is well worth the read if you can follow it. So, we have a space station floating around in nothing. That's why the name is called Infinite Dark, because it is just total inky blackness. The universe is gone. It's just completely destroyed itself. And the last bastion of humanity is on this space station called Orpheus. Now, Orpheus was created specifically for this, but it's meant to hold like 50,000 people, but I think only 1 or 2 actually survived to make the trip onto Orpheus. So there's complete sections of the space station that are untouched, unused. They have the power shut off to it, and they call those like the dark zones. So we have our security chief. Her name is Deva, and Deva saw something weird out in the blackness, and it is, I don't know, they're calling it an entity right now. There's been several murders going on. One was a doctor or scientist aboard the space station who saw this thing and went a little wacko from it, and he wants everyone else to see it, but he didn't know if they could handle it. So he devised this plan with this woman here. Her name is Kieran, to destroy the space station. They feel this is the last thing they need to do. They're not even explaining why. They're just saying they're an anomaly. They shouldn't be there. This place needs to be destroyed. So she came up with an entire plan to completely power sink all the power from the space station into the dark zones and kind of emanate it out into space or into the nothingness. And that's going to kill everybody on the space station. Eventually, the space station will dissolve and there will be nothing left over. Of course, Deva doesn't want this to happen. She wants humanity to survive, but she knows she's seen this thing out in space, and she has also started receiving hallucinations since then. Now, they're going to enact something called the Honeybee Protocol. They really don't explain what that is, but by the time we get to the last panel, she confronts this entity and wants to talk to it to find out what it needs or what it wants and why it's here. Crazy, crazy book. Oh, we can see the issue 4 here. The cover is the Orpheus being destroyed. That should be really interesting. So the premise behind this book is kind of crazy. It is tough to read, but like I said, it is well worth the read. And it kind of leaves you wanting more because every issue ends with more questions than answers. So you just kind of gotta find out what is happening. So this is a thumbs up from me. And jumping back into DC Comics, we have Scooby Apocalypse number 32. And everybody that watches my reviews knows I absolutely love this book. Such a good read. And man, look at this cover. Seriously, look at these frog people hanging out on the Mystery Machine. Love that. Now, frog people don't even show up in this issue, but it's just cool. And the variant cover for this book this week was really awesome as well. I'm loving this. So the whole premise behind this is that Velma was working for this research lab that created this nanite technology. The nanites were released onto the planet, creating real monsters. So there is a very, very real monster apocalypse going on. This is really cool. Fred died, comes back. The nanites brought him back, and he's kind of merged his minds with the nanites, and he rules the monsters. He leads the army, the horde. He is the king monster. And he came back for his Daphne. He's like, you are my bride, you are my love, I am still your Fred, and we are going to be married. And she's like, oh, I don't think so. Also, where we left off from last issues, we have Shaggy running through the hall screaming, I'm going to be a daddy. Yes, him and Velma have been hooking up. They're going to pop out a kid. That is going to be fun. So, of course, she's not very happy about it, but she concedes that he's just damn cute for running around and doing this. And, of course, you know, this is kind of a beacon of light in these very, very dark times. They are leading this giant group of people who are just holed up in a mall and trying to survive this monster apocalypse. In crashes Scrappy-Doo from the skylight to tell everyone that Fred has Daphne. And him and Daphne have been hunting partners. Ever since Fred has died, she has sort of gone off the deep end and goes out hunting monsters like crazy. And Fred is still trying to convince her that he is just her same old Fred. And he is going to be here with her, and he wants to love her, and then she stabs him in the neck. I thought that was very, very cool. She has a serious fighting instinct. Now, she's worried the monsters are going to try to kill her at this point, and that's when the gang shows up in the mystery van to save her. Scrappy really, really, really digs her. I think she's the only friend he has, so he wants to save her badly. So then we have some action and excitement, and we have all this, monster thing going on. Fred shows up in front of the Mystery Machine. Shaggy just cannot bring himself to run him over, and he surrenders. So we're not sure what he's playing at here, but he's here. He wants to convince them he is the same Fred. He said, take me back, run experiments on me, interrogate me, do what you have to. I want you to know that I am still this person. Helicopter stops by. And it's the Dinkley brothers. Yes, we have the Dinkleys here. We have Quentin and Rufus. No idea why they're here, but they blow Fred's head off, which is kind of interesting as well. Good book, a lot of fun. This is not the Scooby-Doo that you remember. There are some issues that just make you kind of just stand back and go, wow, what just happened here? It's a very, very good read. I urge everyone to pick it up, at least in trades, and give it a shot. It's so good. All right. Skyward number 9, brought to you by Image Comics. I love this book as well. I've been following this since issue number 1. Such a good story. So we have our hero here, our heroine. Her name is Willa, and Willa wants to kill this man. This gentleman's name is Barrow. Barrow killed her father. Now, they were science partners back in the day. Gravity on the planet has been shut off. Barrow wants to keep it that way because he's making a ton of money, and her dad thinks he figured out a way to reverse it. Barrow did not like that idea, so he killed him. Now, we end up on a farm that is run by Barrow. But all his farmers don't like him too much, so they kind of used Willa as bait to bring Barrow there, and they have kidnapped him. So we have this group of warrior farmers who are done supplying people in the city with food and making them fat while they are out here starving and, just kind of being slaves for this Barrow character. They see Willa as a hero because Willa has brought down, actually destroyed one of Barrow's buildings in Chicago. She's trying to make her way to Kansas City because that's where her dad told her she needed to go to reverse all of this. So her hero here, I forget what his name is, but he's the one that saved her from these giant bugs who are now infesting the planet. And they tell her the story of when they went to Kansas City, and they didn't realize she didn't know this because they asked her originally, "Are you going to Kansas City?" And she's like, "Yes." So they thought they were kind of on the same team here. They went to Kansas City to the Barrow building to shut off the repellent for the bugs, the giant bugs, to try to bring the city under their control. They ended up reversing this repellent signal and attracting all the bugs to the city. Now, what you don't know is that dragonflies are carnivores and people are meat, and these are giant bugs now. So they killed pretty much almost everybody in the city. So they figured if they brought Barrow to them, they could almost do the same thing in Chicago, but learn how Barrow tech works and just shut it off. And she's like, "Wow, you guys are bonkers. We need to get out of here." So she goes to her friend Edison and she's like, "Yeah, these guys are crazy. We need to save Barrow and run." So they are going to try to grab Roger Barrow and get out of there. Really, really interesting twist. I mean, when we got to the giant bugs, I was like all in now again. And then this kind of twist happens where, you thought these bug riders were good one issue. Now you realize they're kind of crackpots. And they think all these rich people who are growing fat off of them should die. And it's like, okay, huge thumbs up. I love this story. It's a great, great read. Now, if you can grab the first couple issues, please do it. I'm pretty sure it's been optioned already, so it might be a little hard to find them. But I think it'd be well worth it. And also out of Image Comics, we have Spawn Kills Everyone 2. And this is a 4-issue miniseries. Now, I have to admit, the very first Spawn Kills Everyone, I loved it. It was so much fun. It was a cute story. The thing went into 3 printings. It was so popular. And you had this cute little kind of chibi Spawn with this giant chip on his shoulder running around a convention and killing all these cosplayers who he thought were actually like superheroes and stuff. It was a lot of fun. And I was expecting a lot of the same. And you started getting that feeling, he has a stomach ache, so he has to go to a doctor, and he meets Dr. Doom, and then he goes to another doctor who's Doc Ock. So this was kind of fun. I was like, oh, hey, this could be sort of neat. And then Doctor Strange and Dr. Fate, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. And that's where the fun stopped, because then it just kind of devolved into a whole bunch of fart and poop jokes. And I was like, oh, okay, well, all right. And then that's pretty much where it completely lost me after he started having poop babies. And I was pretty much done from there. Now, I did finish the story, and it's just him telling them to get out. And then no, it was just a whole big ball of no. And yeah, I'm really disappointed because, like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed the first one. I thought it was really good. And I don't know where they're going to go with 4 issues on this. I think after the success of the first Spawn Kills Everyone, Todd McFarlane just kind of wants to capitalize. But I don't see that happening with this story here. So, big thumbs down from me. And last book on this week's list, we have X-23 number 7. Now, is it just me, or does anybody else out there actually like this costume Laura's wearing? I hate this thing. I mean, seriously, like capri pants and half gloves. I can't stand it. But she has a cool costume over in X-Men Red. So why, I don't know. Why the 2 different costumes? I don't get it. Anyway, story on the other hand, really good. I enjoyed that this week. So we start off with Honey Badger. I love Gabby. Anything with Gabby in it's going to make me happy. And this is her just getting a giant ice cream cone. Love that. So next up, we start talking about how 3 scientists have been murdered in the last week. So we have a human genetics specialist, we have a genome engineer, we have an immunologist. And Laura is called in by the New York Police Department to help. Now, Kitty Pryde has kind of put the X-Men out there. Now they live in the middle of Central Park, and they are there to help local law enforcement if they want it. Which is kind of a neat idea. I like that. So they can kind of go on their own adventures, helping the police out and all that kind of stuff. And then we have Gabby yelling at a guy for littering and puts him in his place. Love this girl. Seriously love this girl. So what we find out is there is one scientist left on this list that could possibly be attacked. So we have them staking the building out. Gabby on the outside, Laura presumably on the inside. So we get this weird robotic creature thing who begins to crawl through the air ducts. And Laura's there waiting for it. So they don't know if this thing's a robot or what, because it's not showing any emotions. Its movements are very stiff, yet very precise. When they finally... Yeah, we got Gabby stomping on its head. I love that. When they finally get this thing's helmet off, they realize it's another one of them. That it's a clone. So this kind of changes everything, because they thought all the clones were gone. And Gabby and Laura were the last two, but apparently someone else is bringing these clones in. And as you can see, they're kind of bonding them with technology as well. So they need to talk to this girl, and they want to find out what's going on. And Gabby's got this huge heart, and she is so... I mean, she's, you know, it's another one of their sisters. And this is the way Gabby feels. Love that about this little character. Love it. So the place ends up getting invaded, either to get back their property or to destroy it. And they're like, we have to save her. We have to get her out of here. But next issue, we see them fighting again. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see where this storyline goes. Now, this book does have a little bit of heat to it and a lot of talk because of this new character being introduced. Don't have a name on her yet. Don't even have a designation. So it'll be kind of interesting to see where this goes. And even if she sticks around. Yeah, but it was a really good read. I had a lot of fun with this. It's always great to see a very Gabby and Laura centered story where it actually focuses more on them and their feelings and stuff. I do like that. And you know, the whole cuckoo story that went on in the last, I don't know, the first 5 issues it was all right, but it kind of fell flat in the end. So I'm hoping this one's a lot better, and it should be, because the all-new Wolverine story that centered around the clones was really good. So I'm very excited for that. So anyway, that is the last book for the week. Oh, you know what? Let me do my recap real quick. X-23 number 7. Really good story this week. Had a lot of fun with this. And, you know, I'm just a huge Laura Kinney and Gabby Kinney fan. I love them both, so it's just really hard for me to say anything bad about them. Spawn Kills Everyone 2, issue number 1. Again, this one was actually a giant thumbs down on my list. It kind of just devolved into a bunch of nonsense that I really didn't even feel like finishing. Skyward number 9. Enjoyed this book. Great story. A lot of fun. Definitely pick it up. Scooby Apocalypse number 32. This is a must grab for me every single month consistently, and it should be for you too. Infinite Dark number 3. Hard read. Well worth it. Goddess Mode number 1. I'm going to go with that other cover because I like that a whole lot better. Honestly, that's probably my cover of the week. Even though this wasn't my book of the week, I love this cover. Like I said, it just totally reminded me of Gem and the Holograms. Story started out good, fell flat, got kind of bubblegum, and I will pick up issue number 2 just to see where it goes, but I really don't have any expectations. Empty Man number 2. Another very, very good read. Had a lot of fun with this one. It's creepy. Cullen Bunn does horror, and that's what he does. It's what he does. Very good. Electric Warriors number 2. This is another one. Great story. A lot of fun. I can't wait to see what happens in issue number 3. And the one book from last week that I missed. Freeze number 1. I was glad I read this because, wow, I want to see where this goes. Crazy premise, really good, a lot of fun. Now, I honestly do not have a pick of the week, though. They were, you know, some really decent books, so they kind of all tied out each other, except for the 2 that were, you know, bad and meh. But, like always, guys, thank you for watching. These are my books for the week. These are also my opinions. Your mileage may vary. So to all my current subscribers, thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Thank you for watching and listening and commenting and liking and sharing and all that kind of good stuff. Keep it up. You're the reason I do this. And to all new people watching, hit that little CV down in the lower right-hand corner and hit that bell notification up top. It won't bite you. Go, just give it a little poke. And that lets you know when I have all the new stuff coming out. And like always, guys, thank you for watching and take it easy.